Welcome to the DoubleACS Daily News. The Saint Vincent de Paul Society hosted a legislative forum at Bristol Community College, Attleboro Campus. The session featured local dignitaries including Representatives Jay Barrows, Elizabeth Poirier, Stephen Howitt, and Senator Paul Feeney. We spoke with moderator Mike Murphy to learn more.
I'm Mike Murphy. I was moderator today of the legislative forum sponsored by the Voice of the Poor Committee of Saint Vincent de Paul Society of Attleboro. The Voice of the Poor Committee is just that. We try to be a voice for the poor and with the poor about issues that affect them. And today we had members of the legislative delegation discuss the issues, and we basically shared with them what our concerns are. Basically, what we're trying to do on an annual basis, and this is our third time, is to let the representatives and the senator know what the major concerns are of the community, of those in the community especially who are working on behalf of the poor. And as I mentioned early on, we didn't want to debate or try to get final answers because there really are no final answers. The legislature is working on a process. Those of us in the community are working on a process. But we hope that after a couple of hours that we better understand what some of the major issues are that have to be addressed. For example, today, the representatives all said that they didn't realize prisoners re-entering society were having so much difficulty in Bristol County, where in other counties there's less difficulty. And to a person, they shook their heads that they were going to go back and look into that. So it's an education process. We learn things from them, they learn things from us. Poor and homeless, those words go together in a lot of people's mind. And you think, well, we don't really have a lot of poor among us. Well, in fact, I think the fact came out last year that if they raise the minimum wage above $11 an hour in Attleboro, it would affect a third of the residents. So, the people are among us. They're the people who live next door to us. When you talk about people who are affected by the opioid crisis, when you talk about people who for some reason or another were incarcerated for a period of time, I mean, there are not too many people or too many families that, aren't affected in some way. So the poor aren't just a handful of people that we need to take care of. The poor can be any of us at any time. And I think that's an important message. Diana Reeves from Mansfield, who is the chairman of the Voice of the Poor Committee, she and her husband have been very involved in social justice activity, as are many of the members of Saint Vincent de Paul, and really understanding that all the work that we do for providing clothes, providing rental assistance, providing food to people in need, that's only half of the equation. The other half of the equation is doing something that can actually help people to change their lives, to be able to become economically self-sufficient, to be able to progress. You heard a lot today about job training. You heard about transportation, how to get from corners of the towns that aren't served by public transportation to areas where people can work or train. I think it's an ongoing process. I think people understand, however, that the rising economic tide does not, all boats don't rise. And so I think if you hear the comments of our legislators here today, they realize that people can get left behind. And Representative Poirier, for example, said, it's a different economy. We don't have some of those manufacturing entry-level jobs that existed, when I was a kid in Attleboro 30, 40, 50 years ago. So there have to be different ways to address it. And I think the fact that the legislature, and especially our legislators, are aware of this is important, because as issues come before the legislature in the course of the year, our voice can be heard. Everybody in St. Vincent de Paul are volunteers. We do the work that we do, whether it be helping out directly or working for some social justice causes, because we want every human being to feel important, to feel loved, to feel that they can care for themselves and they can make progress.